Hello and welcome to Kettering Farms. We're back with another episode of the Flint Hills map by JS Mapping, and this is our precision farming playthrough. Last time we had swapped out a bunch of equipment, and because we were running into problems with courseplay here on this field 21 due to, I believe mostly this area up here gets a little bit awkward. And just all of these different areas that go in and out. Courseplay was having a hard time generating the headlands for this map. And so we have swapped back some equipment. So previously we had a DB120 that we'd swapped in last episode. And I didn't like the model for the mod. It was a little bit older, not very detailed. And in addition to that, it was just really big, to be honest. And so I went ahead and got rid of that and replaced it with a second DB60. I felt like it'd be a little bit more realistic to run two DB60s on the farm rather than a big DB120. So we've got the 8960 here hooked up to this DB60. We've put a little bit different configuration on this one. We got rid of the marker arms, but it is also set up to do liquid fertilizer when we are planting a crop besides soybeans here. The soybeans aren't actually going to need any additional nitrogen with precision farming, and so this is going to work out pretty well for us. We are just using a normal hired worker right now, since we weren't able to get a good courseplay course set up. With the smaller equipment, I think we will be able to modify the field slightly to get these DB60s working. But for the purposes of today, we're just going to use a normal hired worker. We did finish the headlands all the way around the field, if you look here, with that DB120 off camera, before I made the decision to switch over to the DB60 here. So I think this is going to work out pretty well. It looks like the hired worker is going to be able to handle this slightly steeper headland here. Once we get up to some of this flatter stuff that you can see down there, I don't think we're going to have any problems at all. So I'm just kind of curious to see how this turns around here. And then we're going to go take a look at the other equipment that we've swapped out, as well as get the 8RX started on the other end of this field. So jumping over here to the far end of the field again, you can see that we've added this Meridian Seed Express. This is going to come in really handy for both acting as a much larger seed tender, as well as when we need to start hauling lime. I appreciate everybody that pointed out the global company field calculator mod. This has come in really handy. So if we look at field 21, which is the field that we're in right now, you can see that when we start to do lime, we're going to need 416,000 liters of lime, which I believe this seed tender is somewhere around 50,000 liters. So I'm going to need to make 8 trips just to put lime on this field. And then if I click on this, I can go into the seed consumption for this field, and you can see that for soybeans we're going to be using 38,000 liters of seed, and if we were to be doing corn we'd need 51,000 liters. So that's a lot of volume of seed. I don't know what the conversion to bushels is off the top of my head, but if we come in here and look at the Seed Express, you can see this is only 45,000 liters. And so if we were planting corn in this field, I would need more than one semi-full of seed just to plant corn here. Now, I'm not 100% sure if all of those calculations are accurate, but just looking at how fast the seed is going when we're planting here, if we jump back in, I'm already down to 61%, and I've just done this a little bit here on the end. And so we're definitely going to need a ton of seed. And so I think that this is a good trade-off, that while we do have a smaller planter now, we're going to really get a lot of use out of this much larger seed tender. So with that, let's jump up into the yard here and get the 8RX going. We did switch this back over to beans, There is some liquid fertilizer sitting in the tank right now, but that's not going to be a problem. I don't think that precision farming is actually going to put any fertilizer down because we are set up for soybeans, and soybeans don't require any nitrogen. So if we get this unfolded and set up to go down the field here, I think we're going to see that we don't need any, we don't use any of this liquid fertilizer as we get planting. So we're going to go ahead and just get going down the line here, and I will set up a GPS track once we get just a few feet further down, just to make sure that I'm lined up with this straight part here. There we go. We've got our GPS track running, and as you can see, while it does appear that this ground is getting fertilized, it's liquid looking, we're not actually using any liquid fertilizer. And if I bring up the help menu here, you can see that the application rate is 0 liters per hectare because soybeans don't actually need any nitrogen. And so we're going to do the first couple of passes here manually, and then we'll likely be able to set up a worker to help us out here at some point. But with the way that this field looks down here on the end with this super narrow point, I just don't expect that the farm sim worker is going to be able to handle this too well. I think once we get over here 2 or 3 passes into this area, that it's going to be able to take over from there. So we're coming into the point here that I was talking about, and as you can see, I don't think the worker would ever find its way all the way back down to that portion of the field once it got all the way up here. So we'll just take care of this a bit on our own at the moment, and I feel like we're finally getting kind of dialed in on this series. We got a good set of equipment. I'm hoping that we don't have to keep swapping equipment in and out. But what I will say is that if I bring up the finances window, as you can see, I haven't cheated any money in. I am taking out additional loans, so all that equipment swapping and everything that we needed to do cost us another $173,000. So the one thing that we do have to look into at some point, though, is I'm generating income from somewhere on a daily basis. I'm not quite sure what's generating that income every day, but we have seen a couple of bumps as time goes on here. So I'm going to have to look into that. I think, actually, now that I think about it, I think we've got these windmills here. Yeah, these are generating money every day. Interesting. I don't want to sell them because I think it's kind of cool when we drive into town to see all those big windmills. You can just see them in the distance. But I might go into the mod map and figure out how to disable the daily income that is being generated from them. Just because I don't think that we necessarily need that extra assistance. I'm hoping that we can make some money from our running a farm this big and pay for our own debt throughout the year. I do want a little bit of a challenge, which is why I've been managing everything through the loans. And so $1.6 million in loans is nothing to sneeze at. There's definitely a lot of loan interest that we're getting charged out at the end of every day. Speaking of finances, I've also been very interested to see the economic analysis screen here for field 21 continue to change. We took a few soil samples, not the whole field. Obviously, I did use the command to uncover field 21, but you can see the cost here for seed, fuel, vehicle maintenance, and using an AI helper has all been calculated into our earnings for this field. And so I'm not expecting to make any money in the nearest future. Obviously, until harvest, we won't be able to get a full picture of this field, but I am hoping that we are able to turn a profit in the field. And it'll be really interesting to see what that profit margin is, especially with using the hired workers to kind of help us out here. I'm still curious to try and figure out what this RTX station is doing for us as far as interactions with the helpers. as I have not necessarily noticed that the helper acts any differently with the planter we have going on the other end of the field there. But I haven't watched him very closely, and I haven't done a, what would you call it, A/B test where I have the RTX station and I let a worker work through the field, and then I do it without the RTX station and kind of compare the results. That's something that I'm working on setting up to do in an upcoming tutorial video. I do have plans to do more tutorial videos on precision farming. Just with the holidays approaching here, free time has been a little bit limited, so we're going to get into some of that here soon. Once we get back down to the other end here, I'm going to set this guy back on his course and hire a worker, and then I think we need to go over and likely check the seed on our 8960. I have to imagine that it's getting low at this point, and we're going to need to refill that DB60 so we can see how our new seed tender works. I haven't had a chance to actually use it with one of these planters yet, so hopefully it's a positive experience. I've definitely had some bad luck with different mods lately, having miscellaneous issues. I've not done enough testing before I implement a new mod on the series, so we're going to just continue to figure it out live, I think. All right, so with that, we're going to set this guy back up and let the worker take over. And we'll jump over to helper H here, who is our 8960. Helps if we're on the actual map. And it looks like he's okay still. He's got 30% seed. But let's follow him around back on this pass, and we'll fill them up anyway as long as we're over on this end of the field. All right, we are gonna leave it parked there and go grab this semi real quick and bring it on over to try and load up the seed. Now, I haven't had a chance to really play around with this yet, but I know the auger on the back can move. I'm just not sure how much play it has. So what I'm going to do, that's a roar of a Jake brake. I'm going to put this auger out real quick, and then we're going to see how far the hydraulics will allow it to move back and forth. Because if I can go all the way to the side, ooh, fancy. I can pull the planter, or back the planter straight up to the edge of the road here would probably be the more realistic way to do this. I wouldn't want to drive this semi out in the field, I don't think. So that's what we're gonna do. This auger is pretty fast for the seed tender, so I like that a lot. I'm gonna go ahead and have that fold back up. And then we're gonna jump into this 8960 and get it started again. And then I think we'll take the seed tender up to the other end of the field and get the 8RX going, or filled up as well, because I think that we'd used a little bit of that ahead of getting started on all this. There we go. I think the workers got it. Good deal. And so I'm really liking this setup. I think the DB60s are a good fit. I think that having a couple of them is going to make this a lot more manageable. It's surprising to me, given that we're in the same field, how far away the farm and the 8RX are. We're going to have to go quite a ways to get caught up to our other tractor here. And it looks like the 8RX is still going, so he didn't get hung up on the other end of the field there when he needed to turn around, which is a good thing. And we've already used 18% of the seed in this big seed tender. This is a 45,000 liter seed tender, or a 1,260 bushel seed tender. So the fact that we're already almost 20% through the seed, and we've just started to scratch the surface of this field, is a little scary. I'm glad that our loan cap is so high. We've got a great relationship with the bank. They definitely like collecting all of that interest, because it takes a lot of money to fund all of the things that we need on this farm. Oh, we should probably stay on the road though. So it looks like the 8RX has made it quite a ways over there. So I'm going to take this over here on the far side of the hog shed, I think. Because I'm pretty sure when the 8RX comes back down, yep, it's going to be right in this area. So this is going to be a great spot for us to fill up the seed. All right, we're going to put this thing right on the corner of this grass area. And once the 8RX gets back down to this end of the field, it'll be in a good spot to whip it around and fill it up here. All right, so we're back down here on this end of the field. I'm going to go ahead and just put this right back under here by the seed tender. And then I think we'll be able to hop back in here and adjust the auger to match up with what we're looking for. No sense, well, not exactly lined up, but by the time we could get back in the tractor to make that lined up, we're already done filling the seeds. So this seed tender is super fast. All right, so we're gonna get this guy set back up here. I couldn't have asked for a better setup, because when he comes back the other way, he's going to line up with what we've done on the headlands here pretty good. We aren't going to waste too much effort. I just need to get lined up, drop our planter down. I think I need to be just a little bit further over here. Looking good. Set the worker back up. And away we go. So with that, we're going to call it an episode. We'll check back in next time as we're hopefully getting a little bit closer to done harvesting this field. Maybe a little bit of a time-lapse montage as we wrap up soybean planting and get converted over to corn. Thanks for watching. That's all for today. Ketterk out.